But I want you to know that the evil that happens in December is more than the evil that happened from January to November put together. I keep telling people, I say that during December, I am always in my guarded moment. This is the time to anchor on God. This is the time to be prayerful. This is not the time to relax. It's time to be vehement in faith. Listen to me. I discovered encounters is key to boldness. A man's encounter is what hands over to him the scepter of confidence. Exodus chapter 2. Moses had killed someone, and then he was pursued out of the city. He ran away and ran to Midian and stayed there for 40 years. He was a fearful man. And then all of a sudden he had returned several years later. From Exodus 2 to Exodus 3, the Bible showed us of the encounter he had. And then 40 years had gone. And then he came back to Egypt. The same man that was afraid came back with boldness. Do you know what made the difference? In between Exodus 2 and Exodus 3 was sandwiched an encounter. We call it the burning bush encounter. And that was what inculcated boldness in him. When he saw a bush that was being raised down by fire, and yet it was not affected, a voice called from him from the bush and said, there is an assignment. He said, if I go to Pharaoh, who do I tell him you are? He said, go tell Pharaoh, I am Jehovah Dash, the I am that I am. And then he came to the court of Pharaoh because he had had an encounter. The Lord said, drop the rod. He dropped the rod. He became a serpent. He said, pick it from the tail. He took it from the tail. And then he turned back to the staff again. And then he showed up in the camp, in the court of Pharaoh. And then a man that was fearful, that had run out of a city, came back to that city this time around, not as a man, but as a God. God said to him, I send you unto Pharaoh as a God. What shook me was how Elisha maintained calmness in the midst of turbulence. How is it that Jesus was able to sleep in the yonder part of the ship, untroubled, not perturbed, not disturbed? He was sleeping. He was sleeping. He didn't even know when the storm came. He was sleeping. That sleep is restfulness on the omnipotent personality of God. He had restfulness. Just like I have restfulness. That no matter their numbers, nothing they do will come near us. Nothing they do will come near us. The Bible says, surely they must gather. So their conspiracy is none of my business. 1,000 shall fall at your right hand side. Are they up to 1,000? 10,000 your right hand side. But with your eyes you shall behold the reward of the wicked. Surely, not probably, not might, surely they must gather. So how is it that this man was calm, seeing an army? We saw that there was another eye he had. Now listen to me. That eye was the eye of faith. That eye is the eye of faith. Some of us might say, Lord, you showed Elisha angels. I want to see angels around me. You might not see it, but you know it. You didn't hear what I said. You might know what? But what? Now, if there is darkness in your room where you have lived for years, they take light. Do you know where your socket is? Do you know where your socket is? Do you know where to go and off certain things and pick certain things? If you are at your door and they took the light, do you know how to locate your bed? How? Is there any light? How do you know it? Because you know it. You are conversant with it. Paul was writing, he said, the things we have spoken to you, the things your hands have handled. This word of grace, we have handled it. Conversant with it. That's why remembering your encounter encounters with God is key to confidence in God. Your encounters with God. I've been shot before. The gun knocked. Shot and the gun knocked. Shot the second time, the gun knocked. After I wasted him the second time at another incident, and then looked, and then I saw they started running. I had to go and remove what was on the way. I was wondering, why are they running? I looked up, I saw men on military uniform. There were more than 300. They were coming and never drawing clothes. We are not alone, sir. So when the servant of Elisha became afraid, Elisha laid his hand on him and said, come to where we are. Come to where we are. And then when his eyes opened, no complaint again. His mouth was glued. For he saw that the whole... How many soldiers did the king send? 50 per time. He sent them 3 times. The other one, fire consumed them. Second time, fire consumed them. The other ones became blind even. The other guys came. The captain said, no, I didn't come to... I just came to deliver message. Is it possible that you have mercy on me? He told that one, he said, okay. An angel was also in the kitchen of God with charcoal to send it down. $50 were sent. But when the eyes of the servant of Elisha was opened, the Bible says he saw countless angels on chariots of fire. Did he complain afterward? What did he do? He was quiet. He rested on the restfulness of God. Now, listen. You cannot be careful enough. People stay in their house and they get killed. They stay in their house and stray bullets kill them. You can't be careful enough. Even in my carelessness, God is careful for me. You didn't hear what I said. Even in my carelessness, Jehovah is careful for me. Somebody say, I hear. You didn't say it loud.